station.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
A Thursday afternoon rubber match comes your way from U.S. Cellular Field as the Twins and White Sox wrap things up on a perfect day for baseball. The once Central Division leading White Sox continue to watch things slip away, sitting fourth in the division, 8.5 games back of the red-hot Cleveland Indians. Welcome to Chicago's Southside inside U.S. Cellular Field. I'm Audra Martin. It's the final game of the series between the White Sox and the Twins, and it's also the final time these two teams will square off before the All-Star break. Now, when they do meet up a month from now, a very familiar face will return to Target Field, but he'll be wearing enemy colors. Justin Morneau was a Twins territory favorite and a staple on the Ron Gardenhire teams of the 2000s. Morneau spent nearly 11 seasons with the Twins and hit 221 home runs. He was one half of Minnesota's M&M Boys, winning 5 division titles with his buddy Joe Mauer. Morneau would take home some serious hardware in 2006 as the American League MVP. In August of 2013, the struggling Twins would do Morneau a favor, sending the popular first baseman to the playoff-bound Pirates. In the offseason, Morneau would sign with the Colorado Rockies, where he would become the National League batting champ in 2014 with a .319 average. And after an injury-plagued season in 2015 with the Rockies, Justin has worked his way back, signing with the Chicago White Sox earlier this month. Recovering from an elbow injury, Morneau looks to return to action after the upcoming All-Star break. That sets him up for a July 29th return to Target Field when the Twins and White Sox start off another 3-game series. In the meantime, when we come back to Twins baseball, we will head up to Dick Bremer and Roy Smalley as they take a look at a monster month of June for a few Twins hitters next on Fox Sports North.
Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. and by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. It's another beautiful day in Chicago, and the Twins wrap up the month of June. A series finale against the Chicago White Sox, and a couple of left-handers facing each other. For the Twins, Tommy Milone, and for the Chicago White Sox, Carlos Rodon. And we welcome you to Chicago. Dick Bramer and Roy Smalley with you for the series finale. And yes, the month of June will be another losing month for the Minnesota Twins, but within the month, 4 hitters have stepped up and really had productive months.
Tim Laudner mentioned it in the pregame show. We're starting to see some real positives now emerge, offensively especially. The guys are really starting to swing the bats, led by these guys, Kurt Suzuki, Brian Dozier. We talked about Brian Dozier's extra base hit streak. Eduardo Escobar swinging the bat really well, but how about Eduardo Nunez? This young man has really swung the bat as well as anybody in the league, frankly, and I love his swing. He sets up to hit the ball in the middle of the diamond and lets the pitch dictate. Up and in, I'll hit it over the fence. Breaking ball down and away, I'll go up the middle. How about up and away? I'll take it off the right field fence. He has a really great plan right now. He's very confident, and he's really ignited this offense.
Haven't been many highlights in the month of June again, but the Twins have a chance to finish the month with a highlight, a series win against a divisional opponent, a 500 road trip, hopefully setting the stage for better things in the month of July.
I think Chicago.
Love Chicago.
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 Probably Chicago.
Chicago, because I feel like it's a clean New York. It's almost like New York, but more.
There's less people walking in the streets, so you can walk around and not have to worry about somebody running you over.
Fans are a little intense in New York.
Can't stand New York.
New York's too, even though they're two big cities, I can't stand New York. So, Chicago for sure.
Well, the Twins won the series finale in New York. They'll try to win the series finale in their favored city of the two. And the Twins traditionally have done pretty well here, but doing well anywhere this year has been a challenge for the Twins. They would like to finish the month of June on a bit of a high note. They had not beaten the White Sox till they played them here a couple of nights ago. Chicago won the first 6 games, and we'll see what happens here. As we said, this is a season now that just you hope for improvement, and that improvement can start with a series win against the White Sox. Here's the Menards batting order. For the Twins, Eduardo's leading off and hitting second, then Robbie Grossman, Brian Dozier, no Joe Mauer in the lineup, Trevor Plouffe, Kurt Suzuki, Max Kepler, Danny Santana, and Byron Buxton.
Carlos Rodon on the mound for the White Sox. Good young left-handed pitcher's got good stuff, good fastball, good slider, kind of a wipeout slider, back foot slider a la Francisco Liriano. His biggest problem has been not walking people and being able to stay ahead. So we'll see how the Twins hitters attack him today.
Nunez asked for time right away. Rodon's done well against the Twins. White Sox with 3 left-handers in their rotation. Twins will see a lot of left-handed starting pitching here in the short term. Rodon here this afternoon. Tomorrow night, Martin Perez of the Rangers, and then another lefty, Cole Hamels, Sunday, going for the Rangers. And a check swing 1-1 to Nunez at the second pitch of the game last night for a leadoff home run against James Shields, and then Shields pretty much shut the door after that. 2-1. Three-hit game for Nunez last night, furthering his case to be the Twins all-star pick. For a while, it looked like Joe Mauer might give him some competition, but now Joe's hit the skids for the last couple of weeks. And right now, Nunez's major competition might come from Kurt Suzuki, the catcher. Tapper, foul. Still 2-2.
Nunez himself went through a little down period offensively for a little while, but has on this road trip really picked it back up again. Really love to see that in a hitter, especially a hitter that has not had big years in the past.
A strikeout to start the ball game. 1 away. And then we'll bring up Eduardo Escobar, who just started the day 8th in the American League in hitting. Brooklyn for defense for the White Sox. AVISAIL Garcia out in left field again. J.B. Shuck in center again. Adam Eaton in right. Frazier back at third base. Abreu back at first base. Anderson, Lawrie up the middle. Navarro behind the plate. So 1 down, and Eduardo Escobar, the batter. Strike 1. Escobar started a Twins rally in the 9th inning and then finished it with a fly ball that ended the game. Anderson charges, and Escobar retired, 2 away. And that'll bring up Grossman. Grossman into the 3rd spot in the batting order with Mauer not in the lineup today.
Against the left-hander, the switch hitting Grossman hitting right-handed, which is his far better side historically and statistically. Historically and currently statistically this year as well.
Max Kepler, the only lefty in the lineup for the Twins today. Tapper foul with the switch hitters like Escobar and Grossman and Santana. 1 strike. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Pretty much know what you're going to get from Rodon. The Twins have seen him maybe at his best, but he's, you know, a 6-inning pitcher typically. Doesn't give up many crooked numbers. Pitches up. Last 3 starts, averaging exactly 6 innings pitched and 2 earned runs allowed in each of his last 3 starts. And now 2-2.
Tends to throw a lot of pitches. I think that's the main reason for the shorter starts. He certainly has past 6 innings stuff, but tends to get the pitch count up early.
And a called 3rd strike. See Grossman take a called 3rd strike from the right side of the plate very often, but he did, and Rodon has a 1-2-3 first. pleasant day for baseball. Robin Ventura hoping that the White Sox can get out of the doldrums. Kind of a flat period for the White Sox over the last month or so. Here's Leonard's batting order for Chicago. Tim Anderson's got 5 hits in the series. Then he'll be followed by Adam Eaton, Jose Abreu, Todd Frazier, Brent Lawrie, DIONER, NAVARRO, AVISAIL Garcia. Matt Davidson just called up for today's game, and then J.B. Shuck.
Tommy Milone on the mound for the Twins. He's had great success against the White Sox in his past. We'll see if he can continue that.
Strike one. Milone with real good career numbers against the White Sox. A memorable game here last year when the Twins were off to their typical, I guess, over the last few years, very poor start. And the Twins were swept in Detroit and lost the first 2 games here in Chicago. And then Milone on a cold afternoon got the Twins their first win with an outstanding effort against Chicago. 4-1 career mark, as you see. And now fouled back, still 0-2. The problem for Milone this year hasn't been getting through the lineup in good shape the first time, and maybe even the second time, but it's been that third time that's really given him trouble. Down and in. Anderson takes 1 and 2.
Tommy obviously doesn't have overpowering stuff, and he relies on guile as we see how he fares as he goes through the lineup. That third time is really tough, and I think there's been a reason for that, and why it hasn't been that bad against the White Sox.
A deep drive down the left field line, and a foul ball. Anderson, who has 3 home runs on the year, made a bid for 1, but it's a long foul. Still 1 and 2.
Tommy can pitch really, really well the first time, and many times the second time through the lineup, because he knows how to pitch. As we watch the ball, this ball just hooked left of the fair pole. It's hitters will be aggressive early against a pitcher oftentimes, and then swing at pitchers' pitches, swing at Tommy Milone type of pitches, low and away off the plate. Then the second or third time they start realizing they need to be a little bit more selective.
2 and 2.
And when you make Tommy Milone stuff get more in the middle of the plate, then he can get knocked around a little bit. He's had good success against the White Sox because the White Sox, in my view, have just never quite made that adjustment to be more selective.
It's going to hit to right, and Kepler has to play it on a hop, and Anderson with a good at bat. Another base hit, his 6th of this series. And that'll bring us to Adam Eaton. But first, I'm going to show you where the Twins are in the field. Danny Santana in left on the Northland Ford defense. Buxton and Kepler join him in the outfield. Nunez, Escobar, Dozier, and Plouffe the infielders, and Suzuki behind the plate. Santana, we've seen a lot of him in center field, much less so in left, but he gets the start there with Grossman, the designated hitter. Here's Eaton. Milone usually pretty good about holding runners, and there's a bunt up the line and foul. I think it was going to hug the chalk line for a while. In trying to figure out what the deal is with Milone, I threw an idea out, and it was very quickly refuted by the manager. But you know, everybody does video training. You come to the ballpark now, the players come to the ballpark, and you know, they stretch, they get loose, they might lift weights, but almost everybody now looks at some video of the pitcher. Now Malone's not an unknown quantity, but I asked Paul Molitor whether the video scouting reports that teams and individuals get had any bearing on why Milone struggled so much after the first time through the lineup. And he said, no, not really. He says kind of what you said, that he goes after hitters, he gets them to chase, and then he said teams adapt within the game the second and third time through the order. And what Tommy needs to do, after hopefully having success first time through the order here today, he needs to change his approach, and it's not as easy to do when you don't have overpowering stuff.
That's exactly right, and what we saw even his last time out, when he's not getting the calls on the corners and he falls behind, then he has a real hard time putting guys away when he has to come more over the middle of the in the middle of the strike zone. So that's what I've seen, and just what Paul said, and so I figured, why did the White Sox have such a problem? And they're aggressive hitters. they have not been as good at the second, third time around as making Tommy adjust. They haven't adjusted at all.
2-2 to Eaton.
But we'll see as Tommy goes along here. If he's when he needs to throw a strike with, let's say, a fastball, if he's throwing it on one corner or the other, he's going to be real good. If he's off the corner and falls behind 2-0 or 3-1, has to come in, then it's going to be a problem. It's a problem for any pitcher, but especially if you throw 88 top end.
Driven down the line, foul by about 3 feet. So in each case now with Anderson, now with Eaton, he's gotten ahead, but he hasn't been able to put the batter away. Malone has gotten 3 ground ball double plays. And we've seen so many Twin starters this year give up runs, sometimes multiple runs in the first inning. That's not been a problem for Malone. He's not given up even one first inning run so far this year.
You can see here with Fox tracks what Tommy's trying to do. It's all about strikes on the perimeter of the zone, nothing in the middle.
There goes Anderson, and the pitch popped up to center field, and Anderson wouldn't go for the Dozier decoy, and he'll retreat to first. Dozier acted like he had the ball and was going to flip it to Escobar, but Anderson didn't get fooled. One away. And that'll bring up Jose Abreu.
We look at the decoy here. Escobar pretended like he took the flip from Dozier and was turning that double play. Anderson with a quick peek in, saw the ball was hitting the air.
We saw it work earlier this year, but my goodness, you look at that, you can't help but think about Lonnie Smith in the '91
Yeah,
World
I was
Series.
just thinking about that. Maybe one of the greatest dekes in terms of the execution and the result that I've ever seen.
And all it meant, as it turned out, was a World Series championship.
Right.
Malone with 13 pitches thrown. He'd like to get Abreu to bounce into a double play here. Abreu just 3 hits in 14 at bats against Malone. And a strike call. And Suzuki lost his mask and helmet. Not sure how that happened. Abreu hit him with the bat accidentally.
It was just the sheer velocity of Tommy Malone's fastball. It just created air currents there. You know, 89 miles an hour, and he came right in. He's a nervy guy, Tommy Malone is. He'll pitch inside. Just has to be able to hit those spots. Called strike. So the umpire raises the right hand. And
there's Conroy. Flipped the helmet, the brim of the helmet, and the mask off. Up and in, and it's 1-1. Don had a quick 1-2-3 first inning, and now Malone hoping to get through this first without a run allowed, and relatively low number of pitches.
Nice little one hopper to shortstop at work here.
You know, we had occasion in New York to spend some time with the Twins strength and conditioning coach, I guess is as good a term as any. He's employed by the team to work on the conditioning. Perry Castellano. There goes Anderson, and the pitch fouled away. And within the discussion, and you and I spent more time listening than talking, which is always very good.
Yeah.
That's our role. And Perry said, you know, the things are so detailed now in terms of analyzing athletic performance, the workload, and all that. And he mentioned that, you know what, even these little throws to first, they impact what can be expected of a starting pitcher in his duration, his stamina.
They monitor everything now, every bit of activity that players have.
Might be too, because Abreu doesn't run well. And it is a double play. Nice jam shot Malone getting inside on Abreu, and the inning ends. Pleasant. Brian Dozier hoping to extend a rather impressive streak.
Really impressive. 10 straight games with an extra base hit. It's one thing to get a hit in any kind of hit in 10 straight games, but an extra base hit, I was thinking about that, and that was pretty good. I wonder what the other streaks were, and find out he eclipsed Tony Oliva and Harmon Killebrew in the Twins organization. All of a sudden you realize that's a pretty impressive streak.
See what he can get done here to start the second inning against Rodon, and he takes a strike one. It'll be Dozier, Plouffe, and Suzuki. Foul back, now 2 strikes. I mentioned the Twins haven't done much against Rodon, and Dozier is 0 for 6 against him. Mentioned 3 left-handers in the Chicago rotation. They had a 4th, John Danks, cut ties with him. Last guy with extra base hits in 11 straight, Alex Rodriguez, and part of 06 and 07. Hit hard but foul. That Dozier is doing well in the cleanup spot is, of course, encouraging. That he's in the cleanup spot just as another example of how things haven't gone well for the Twins. The ball chopped left side, 3 infielders over there, and it's Anderson fires across, 1 away. The Twins imagined that by now, at the end of June, if Sano wasn't hitting 4th, it would be Park, it might be Plouffe, any number of other players, with Dozier hitting in front of the cleanup batter. But of course, Sano's been hurt. Park's been ineffective so far. Trevor has struggled, at least in the power department. Just 6 home runs on the year for Plouffe. And he takes strike 1. And Rodon getting ahead of these Twins batters. He's 5 for 5 in delivering first pitch strikes. And now 0-2. Chopper deep in the hole. Anderson with a strong throw. Got him. What a play. He fielded the ball 5 feet back in the outfield grass. Jumped and made a 1-hop throw to get Plouffe. 2 down.
Very, very athletic play by Anderson. This will be a great shot of it right here. He gets way back on the grass, leaps up, a la Derek Jeter. Has a strong arm, and had the perfect guy running. Trevor doesn't run real well.
5 up, 5 down, and now here is Kurt Suzuki. At the start of this month, the notion that Suzuki might get some all-star consideration would have been ludicrous. He was hitting 200, some throwing issues behind the plate. No one questioning his determination. Takes a beating behind the plate, never wants to come out of the ball game. But it's been a wonderful month of June for Suzuki. And you check around the American League and see what some of the other catchers are hitting. And Suzuki, I don't know if he's going to make the team or not, but he'll get some consideration just based on his ability now to hit 280.
Well, he's back to the Kurt of old in terms of hitting the ball well all over the ballpark, all around the field. When he's going well, that he will hit it literally from foul line to foul line. But this is about as good a streak I've got to believe that Kurt's had, if not in his career, at least in some time. We've seen him be a very, very tough out and have some good streaks, but the one he's in right now just looks about as solid as anything could be.
2-2. 2 years ago, he did make the All-Star team. He ended up hitting 288, but only hit 3 home runs, 61 runs batted in. 452 at bats, only 46 strikeouts, and that's another thing that stands out about Suzuki. He tends to put the ball in play. Here's a chopper off the plate. Frazier runs it across. 3 ground ball outs, and another quick 1-2-3 second for Rodon.
And the Twins here in the second inning. The Twins are hoping history repeats itself today. 2 nights ago was Kyle Gibson, who picked up his first win of the season, adding to his 4-1 record against the Chicago White Sox. Today it's Tommy Milone, who also has a 4-1 record against the White Sox and also looking for his first win of the season. I talked to Tommy yesterday about what his plan is to make it happen, and he admits that the last time out against the Yankees, he was probably pushing too hard, had to make that good impression, prove that he did deserve that spot back in the rotation. Today he says that's long behind him. His focus is to be aggressive like he was when he was down in AAA. He has to trust himself as a pitcher too. He knows he's not the hardest throwing guy, but he knows how to work the plate, and he says that he has to focus on that today, get through the lineup the second time, because that's been his issue. And hopefully, guys, you know, they say pitching is contagious. Maybe he'll catch what Kyle Gibson had a few nights ago.
That is the hope. Thank you, Audra. Pitch inside now, 1-1 to Frazier. And Milone had another year, as was the case last year, where he dominated AAA, and the challenge will be for Milone to transfer something along those lines, some level of success up here this year. 2-1 to the cleanup batter for the White Sox. And now 3-1. Even with the 0-2 mark this year, Malone is in the big leagues 41-30. Swing and a miss, 3-2 with an ERA of just over 4. And so there's something there that the Twins hope that they can start revealing with Malone. That's drilled to left. And gone, a home run for Frazier. Number 23 for Todd Frazier. And it's 1-0.
Kind of what we were talking about with Tommy. He got behind 3-1. Now the question is, can he make pitches when he's behind that are on the perimeter, on the corner? He made a great pitch, 3-1, and then he got up and out over the plate, 3-2. He just couldn't. He couldn't come back and throw 2 in a row that neither of which were hittable pitches. Did it the first time, not the second time.
Frazier now tied with Trumbo for the league lead in home runs with 23. And LAWRIE pops it up, foul ball, and NUNEZ over for a look. And there's no play. Strike one. Frazier only 15 hits now in the month of June, but seven of them have cleared the fence.
You know what we've seen from Frazier already is he gets out in front of something. If it's down, he swings and misses it, doesn't hit it really well. If it's up in the zone, the ball goes over the fence.
And that's into right center field over Dozier's head. A little flare for a base hit. And the White Sox in 5 at-bats have 3 hits against Tommy Malone. DIONER NAVARRO will hit next. Avila doing most of the catching for the White Sox, but NAVARRO with the left-hander going makes the start. He's a switch hitter, a little bit better hitter from the other side of the plate. Strike at the knees. NAVARRO in 149 at-bats is grounded into just 2 double plays.
Don't worry about it. Take your time. Excuse us down there, please. Give it a little time.
Chop foul, 0-2, and NAVARRO took that off a leg.
Oh, right on the front part of the lower shin there. That I can tell you from personal experience, that hurts a lot.
NAVARRO taking a little extra time getting back in the box. 0-2. You don't expect Malone to rack up a lot of strikeouts. And NAVARRO strikes out about once every 5 times. Down and away, 1-2.
I watched NAVARRO over the years. That never great numbers, but he's always been a tough out at the plate. He's gotten some big hits in his career. As you say, he doesn't strike out an awful lot. He's just been a tough out his whole career.
Like NAVARRO and Suzuki are exchanging pleasantries.
NAVARRO just saying, hey, can we pretend like we're talking here because my leg still really hurts. I'm trying to get that to calm down a little bit.
Drifting outside, now 2-2. While the White Sox have a lot of left-handed starting pitching, the Twins, of course, have been short in that area. Malone has been it basically for the last couple of years. Every once in a while somebody will come up and make a start from the left side. Logan Darnell, people like that. There's a swing and a miss, and Navarro does strike out for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up Garcia. Right now with Malone, you'd have to call him a veteran. Santana, Nolasco, veterans, and then well, you probably have to call Kyle Gibson a veteran now too. This is his 4th year in the big leagues. And then the youngster Tyler Duffy. Jose Barrios in Rochester. We expect to see him later this year, but he's right-handed. Suzuki to the mound to talk to Malone. Now those two guys have worked together an awful lot going back to the Oakland days. Quick trip to the mound by Suzuki.
I think Kurt just had an idea there with how to pitch to Garcia with the stuff that he's seen from Tommy so far. You know, they have a plan going in to the game with every hitter that goes up there, but as Tim Lager would tell you, some pitcher stuff's not always the same. Sometimes it doesn't fit the plan right away here in the 2nd inning.
Grounder. And Escobar with a good play and a scoop at first by Plouffe. Very nice play. First by the shortstop, and Plouffe with a nice backhanded scoop over at first, and on the play LAWRIE goes to second. So 2 down. Take a look at Escobar going into the hole and making a nice play.
The ball was hit in kind of an awkward spot for him to throw anywhere but first base, and he actually gets a lot of the throw, and Trevor looking very comfortable. See a backhand, try to get yourself under control. Trevor picking it like nothing to it over there.
Ball hit the dirt right in front of his glove, so
it's what you like, those little short hops that you can bang bang into the glove off the ground.
Matt Davidson just called up. The White Sox did not put Melky Cabrera on the disabled list, even though he's going to miss a couple of games with a bad wrist. And they sent down one of their left-handed relievers, Perk, who started the 9th inning last night, optioned him to Charlotte, and then called up Davidson. So the White Sox cutting back now to 12 pitchers. And I can promise you that when I started my baseball broadcasting career in the 80s, it's a sentence I never thought I'd say. White Sox are cutting back to 12 pitchers. 1-1 to Davidson. Not his major league debut. He's been in the big leagues before.
I'm sure you thought that you would utter a phrase more like the White Sox have decided to move up to 12 pitchers rather than rather than to cut back to 12.
Swing and a miss and a bad swing. 2-2. Davidson was with the Diamondbacks a few years ago. 31 games, 76 at bats, 3 homers, 12 runs batted in. Two and 2. And Davidson strikes out. Malone gives up the leadoff home run to Frazier, and then strands LAWRIE at second base. Fox Sports North is presented by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. 1-0 Chicago and a Todd Frazier home run as we move to the third inning. Max Kepler, Danny Santana, Byron Buxton facing Carlos Rodon, who's pitched 2 perfect innings so far. Kepler had an interesting night last night. It was all going wrong for him until his last at bat when he drove in a couple of runs with a double. He was 0 for 4 with 3 straight strikeouts. He made a mistake or 2 in the outfield. And we talked about his demeanor, composure, if you will, and how he seems to outwardly at least not express frustration. And he kind of proved the point last night in the last at bat. He got a pitch to hit, put a good swing on it despite the futility of the first 4 at bats, and rifled a double. Swing and a miss there, 1-2.
Well, he's got a lot of talent, and he, at the same time, a young kid, only 22 years old, not a lot of baseball experience. He's going to go through a lot of ups and downs in the big leagues.
And a breaking ball and another strikeout, 1 away. Bring up Danny Santana. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. 1 away. Here's Danny Santana. First pitch lifted to center. Easy play for Shutt. 2 away. And that'll bring up Byron Buxton. Buxton had a double in the ball game last night. But also struck out.
Another youngster that's going to go through and has already a lot of ups and downs. Mostly downs compared to the ups that are going to happen at some point in time in his career.
Strike over the inside corner.
And it's curious how much he has struggled against left-handed pitching. It really is curious to me.
Buxton just 4 hits in 39 at bats against lefties, and now he's taken strike 2. One of the hits, a bunt single. He has a double and a triple against a lefty. And he chases a high fastball. And the innings get easier as we move along here for Carlos Rodon. Perfect first trip through the order.
And still the deciding factor here in Chicago. Earlier today, I talked to Todd Frazier about a very familiar face, one of his newest teammates, Justin Morneau. He told me before they became teammates, really the one thing he only knew about Justin Morneau was the fact that he beat him in the tiebreaker in the home run derby back in 2014. But he also said he always heard about how good of a teammate he was. And he said that is absolutely the best way to describe him. The couple of times that Todd Frazier has had to play first base, he doesn't have a first baseman's glove. So who steps up to help him? Well, Justin Morneau, of course. Now, he was over playing first base and looked down and saw the name Evelyn in the glove, and he wondered, you know, whose name is this in my glove? Of course, that's Justin's daughter, Evelyn. But he says that he's not surprised to see how well he treats his teammates, and mixed with that, just his determination and dedication to get back to the game. The entire dugout over there is very impressed with how he's attacked the injury situation, and they're all very excited to see what he can do when he comes back, hopefully after the upcoming All-Star game.
Everybody who's spent any time at all with Justin impressed with his dedication. Thank you, Audra. Twins will next see the White Sox at the end of July at home, and by then Morneau figures to be part of the Chicago team. 1-2 to Shuck, and a little soft line drive, and Escobar's there for the catch, one away. Morneau's been going through the drills here on the south side of Chicago. A lot of base running drills, batting cage. Of course, Justin in the cage on a daily basis, running first to third, first to home.
He looks really good. He looks strong and in shape. I was teasing him about going over to the hated White Sox, and we were laughing about that. And he said, you know, this has been kind of like spring training. It's kind of a pain trying to get back in baseball shape here.
1-0. And a ball hit hard, and that's off the shins of Escobar. Anderson has presumably another hit. Hit pretty well. A playable ball for Escobar, but he didn't field it cleanly.
Well, Anderson hits this right on the nose, and it's a in-between hop that eats up Escobar. I think that's got to be a hit.
Yep, it is a hit for Anderson, his 7th of the series. Twins getting their first look at Anderson and haven't been able to figure him out yet. Here's Eaton.
We've got him figured out. Don't throw him at strike.
Now outside a ball to Eaton. A fly ball to Buxton his first time up.
You know, I say that only half in jest, half tongue-in-cheek with Anderson. The guy's got over 80 at-bats and hasn't walked yet. If I'm a pitcher, I'd find out what it would take to walk him. Sure wouldn't throw a lot of easy strikes. I'd throw on the corner at the best, off the plate. See if he actually will take a walk, or if he's going to swing at everything.
That's down the line, and twisting foul. Malone has done well with men on base here today. They're 0 for 5 with men on base, but pitching from the windup, the White Sox hitters are 4 for 5. One and two. With Anderson's single, of course, the start of the second trip through the order. And the White Sox got 3 hits first time through the order, including the Frazier home run. Inside the fastball. 1 and 2.
It's a good purpose pitch right there to not only try to catch the corner and strike him out, but also to come in, make him think, especially a slap hitter, a guy that slaps the ball to the left a lot. Make him think he's not going to get everything out there over the plate that he can slap at.
Grounded weakly to third, and the force play at second. Play by Nunez, getting the lead runner 2 away. 2 down, runner at first. And our carsoup.com trivia question. He's the only player in MLB history to win an AL MVP and National League batting title. Who's the only player to win a National League MVP and AL batting title? I think I know that. It's the answer to a lot of trivia questions. You know it, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah, here's a deep drive to left, but it'll hook. Foul. 1 strike. People debate, and they have debated ever since Coors Field opened up, the effect of that ballpark on hitters. And 2 former Twins in back-to-back years won batting titles there. First Michael Kadire, and then Justin Morneau. Now, you don't get away in my house with saying anything bad about either one of those guys. They're great guys. But I don't think the most ardent Justin Morneau fan or Michael Kadire fan ever thought that a batting championship would be in either one of their futures. 1 strike. Runner goes. And Suzuki can't get a grip on the ball, and Eaton has a steal at second base.
Well, what Justin Morneau told me about that ballpark, it's reputed to be such a great home run hitting ballpark. The ball, just carries like crazy, mile high air and all that. Everybody talks about how the pitchers hate to pitch there because of the home runs. He said that's not it. He said it's the expanse of the outfield,
right,
and how deep everybody has to play in the outfield because of the way the ball carries. And he said you can't believe the number of hits that fall in that outfield that don't fall in anywhere else. I thought that was really interesting.
Sharply hit past a diving Escobar, charging Santana. Here's his throw to the plate. Coming through. Save! And Suzuki missed a sliding Adam Eaton, and no protest from Suzuki. And a little shake of the head into the Twins dugout with Paul Molitor wondering whether it should be challenged. That's a heck of a slide by Adam Eaton.
It was a really great slide because Danny Santana charged the ball well and made a terrific throw to the plate. The ball just out of reach of a diving Escobar. Here's Danny's throw. 1 hop. Suzuki has to come back all the way across, and he's right. He said he never touched him, and he didn't. Eaton goes back to touch the plate just to be sure, but there's the dive in a very, very athletic diving, tumbling slide by Eaton. Now I think that if Kurt had been able to get up and tag him right there, I think well, the umpire signaled safe, so I guess maybe he did touch the plate. Anytime a runner goes back and touches the plate like that, he doesn't think he hit it the first time.
On the ground, 2 hops, Escobar to Dozier. A stolen base, a big play in the 3rd inning. And the White Sox add another run. It's 2-0. series finale. Coors Light cold hard facts. You just can't figure it out. The White Sox, or the Indians rather, dominating everybody, and the Twins struggling against everybody in the division. But yet the Twins have beaten the Indians 4 times in their 6 games. Other than that, it's been a struggle within the division for the Twins.
Sure has, and it's been a struggle within the division for the White Sox as well. You take away them dominating the Twins, and they're 6-18 against everybody else.
Eduardo Nunez will lead off the 4th. Twins still looking for their first base runner in a 2-0 ball game. Nunez struck out swinging to start the ball game. On the outside corner, another first pitch strike for Rodon. 8th first pitch strike in 10 at bats.
When he does that, he's going to be tough. He's, as I mentioned, he's got a good fastball. He's got the back foot slider that's a strikeout pitch, and now he's throwing a bigger curveball, kind of getting the over curveball as well, which the Twins haven't seen nearly as much of. Trying to get him, Rodon, the White Sox are, Donnie Cooper, the pitching coach, trying to get him to learn and throw a straight changeup as well.
And now 2-2.
But he's pretty consistently 94 miles an hour. He'll touch 95 and 96. Left-hander's got that kind of stuff. He's got a chance in this league.
Fouled away. Nunez, Escobar, and Grossman here in the 4th inning, trying to get Rodon into the stretch for the first time. Big pop-up near second base. LAWRIE with the catch, one away. That'll bring up Escobar. Fox Sports supports the Grand Slam Dinner, benefiting boys and girls clubs of the Twin Cities. Comes up Sunday, August 14th at Capitol Grill in downtown Minneapolis. You can join your hosts Brian and Renee Dozier for a great 4-course meal served by your favorite Minnesota Twins players. You can visit foxsportsnorth.com, click on upcoming events for details. One down in the 4th, here's Escobar. Hit a bouncer to short, and another first pitch strike. Talked about it after Duffy's great outing against the Yankees Sunday. When you see a well-pitched game they stand out as they have this year for the Twins, it's frustrating, I think, from the fan standpoint, because it looks easy. The formula is simple. And part of it is doing what Rodon's doing here, and that is get ahead of hitters.
That's a big part of it. And you know what's interesting? The game changes in a lot of ways. The players change, but that will never change. It's been that way for 150 years. The secret to pitching well is to get ahead and throw the ball somewhere other than right down the middle. I mean, it really is not, you know, show guys inside, show them outside, change speeds.
Highlight shows will talk, you know, show highlights of a strikeout pitcher, whether it's Rodon, Max Scherzer, whomever it is. 2-2 to Escobar. And invariably the highlights will show the pitcher not throwing a strike, that the hitter striking out on a pitch that's nowhere near being a strike. But it's the mentality of a hitter. When you have 2 strikes, you don't want to go down taking a called 3rd strike. You expand your strike zone.
Like that. And
there's Escobar on a pitch in the dirt, and NAVARRO throws him out to complete the strikeout. 2 down. And that'll bring up Robbie Grossman. He's pitched well in the past against the Twins, and he's got another one, good one, going so far here today.
Well, he's throwing strikes with his fastball, and that's got guys a little bit on their heels. When you've got a good fastball and you're throwing for strikes, guys have to respect that. They get a little antsy, get a little jumpy, try to be earlier, and then that slider right there, that's his strikeout pitch. He threw it first ball pitch this time, but generally speaking, he wants to throw fastballs, make you think about that, and then strike you out with that slider.
And to the right field corner and deep. Grossman sending one deep and gone. A home run. Well, there you go. Rodon threw the first pitch out of the strike zone, and on a 1-0 pitch, Grossman goes to the opposite field for his 6th home run.
Well, that's a good swing, obviously, by Robbie Grossman, hitting it out of the ballpark. But he, as you say, Dick, he got ahead in the count, 1-0, sitting fastball, and was able to catch up with it. You see NAVARRO going outside. Pitches out there, but up and out over the plate, up a little bit, and not quite as outside as NAVARRO wanted it. Robbie Grossman, who has told us he really likes his right-handed swing.
Ball hit deep to center field. Shuck going back. Tie game. Dozier with another extra base hit. And the Twins have tied it at 2.
So the home run barrage continues, and Brian Dozier, that might be my favorite home run of his in a long time, hitting the ball just right of center field. I hope that impresses him. If he knows that he can hit the ball out of the ballpark to center field, that's going to change a lot of things in his brain. That's great.
Back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches, and it's 2 apiece.
See where this ball is. He doesn't try to pull it. He hits right back through the ball. Good extension on an outside up and away pitch.
Now Plouffe takes down and away. Of course, in New York, the Twins went back-to-back with home runs in the series finale. Not to put any pressure on Plouffe here, but now it's 2-0.
Well, Plouffe was one of those guys in that trifecta, home run trifecta in New York.
Wrapped to third, scooped by Frazier, and ABREU has to come off the bag, but puts the right foot back on it. With 2 outs, Grossman hits an opposite field home run. Dozier hits one to center field, and we're tied at 2. The Twins on the board with an opposite field home run. Then on the very next pitch, Dozier hits one over 400 feet to center field. And now an important inning for Tommy Milone. He's seen the White Sox score in the 2nd, score in the 3rd. He'll face LAWRIE, NAVARRO, and Garcia in the 4th inning. Milone giving up 3 hits first time through the order, a couple already the 2nd time through. And now there's a base hit for LAWRIE, headed for the gap. Buxton backhands, and LAWRIE will go to 2nd with a leadoff double. LAWRIE now 2 for 2 against Milone. And he's been hitting about 500. LAWRIE has over the last 6 games. Just like that, 1 pitch into the bottom of the inning, and the White Sox have the go-ahead run at 2nd.
Hit a pretty good pitch there. He's just swinging the bat really, really well. Ball was down. I mean, at some point in time, a pitcher like Tommy Milone has got to be able to throw a strike and not make hitters chase every single pitch out of the strike zone. That was a low strike, pretty good pitch, and LAWRIE just hit it.
Here is Navarro. Missing inside. Navarro struck out in the second inning, and Milone trying to get him again. LAWRIE hitting .556 this year when he swings at the first pitch. That's pretty good. And now 2-0 to Navarro. So the White Sox have really struggled in June hitting with men in scoring position. Twins know all about that. That was pretty much what identified and made up their April and May. Way out in front. 2-1.
Twins have been a little bit better with runners in scoring position in June. They've hit a bunch of home runs, a lot of home runs too. They've won games with home runs, guys in scoring position or not.
Popped up a foul ball that will reach the seats 2-2. Navarro had a long at bat before going down swinging in the second inning. Bouncer foul.
I don't understand these swings by Navarro. This would make me a little crazy if I were a manager. He doesn't look like he has, from the first pitch, had any interest in hitting the ball to the right side to get the runner over. And like right there, you strike out with the runner on second base and nobody out. Strike out way out in front of a breaking ball when pretty good chance that Tommy Milone is going to give you a ball out over the plate to hit the other way. And I don't know. That's just. I don't think that is what Tom Kelly would have called a competitive at bat there at all. I just don't. I don't understand that mindset.
Milone will take the strikeout, and now Garcia hit a ground ball into the hole. Escobar backhanded it, threw him out in the second inning. Is down and in, ball one. .60 pitches for Milone, 41 strikes. And a strike called, 1-1. White Sox playing .500 baseball now, 39-39. Won their last two series prior to this twin series. Won 3 out of 4 at Fenway Park. Swing and a miss on a fastball, 1-2. Two. Fisted to right, a base hit. It'll drop in front of Kepler. LAWRIE will score, and the White Sox regain the lead. Didn't hit it well at all, just a little doink to right. But LAWRIE scoring from second base, and it's 3-2.
Well, this ball gets in on him. It really is a pretty good pitch. A little cutter running inside, and Garcia just strong enough to be able to hit that little doink into right field. That's tough duty for Tommy Milone. He made 2 pretty good pitches for hits to LAWRIE and Garcia.
And now Matt Davidson struck out his first time up. And a throw to first. In Malone's case, now he got a bit of a reprieve with the back-to-back home runs, tie game. It looked like he got beaten by LAWRIE on a pitch low out of the strike zone. And then he ran that pitch in on Garcia, but both players ended up with hits. And the White Sox have regained the lead. On the outside corner, a strike. Davidson's position regularly is third base. I don't know what his call-up means long-term, if anything, but the White Sox acquiring Todd Frazier, who's tied for the league lead in home runs, even though he's barely hitting 200. So he'll be at third base for the foreseeable future. Frazier can play some first base, but the White Sox have Abreu over there, and they're going to add Morneau. 0-2 to Davidson. Stopped by Suzuki. So if you own some Matt Davidson stock, you're in the stock business. I don't know that I'd buy any more of it in the short term.
In my business, Davidson being called up might be referred to as a dead cat bounce.
Okay. Doesn't sound complimentary or encouraging if you're Matt.
Yeah, nothing against him.
There's a pitch thrown
nice
to,
throw.
and Dozier doesn't hang on to the ball. Looks like the throw actually got there in time. And Garcia, I'm not going to steal too many bases, ends up getting one when it looked like Suzuki might have had him thrown out.
Yeah, Kurt made a good play there. Came up out of his crouch firing and made a pretty good throw. You see, that's a good jump against a left-hander. Brian just tried to tag it a little quickly, it looked like. Yep.
Well, looks like the throw might have been a little bit short of the bag. And off the end of his glove. 2-2 now to Davidson with another runner in scoring position. And a base hit to center. Buxton charges. Garcia being waved around. Buxton's throw to the plate, not in time. And a stolen base again. Leads to a Chicago run, and Dozier pounding his glove in frustration because I think he feels he should have put the tag on Garcia for the second out. And the White Sox are back in front by 2.
Got it off the end of the bat just a little bit, but again, the ball had quite a bit of the plate. And quite a little bit higher than I think Tommy wanted.
White Sox are 9 for 9 in stolen bases against the Twins, and a couple of big ones here this afternoon, each leading to a run. And now J.B. Shuck, there's still only 1 out in the inning, and the number 9 batter hits. And the White Sox, second time through the order, have 5 hits, with Shuck yet to hit. Push bunt foul.
Garcia stole that base on left-hander Tommy Milone going on first move. As soon as Tommy picked up his leg, just guessed that that meant he was not going to throw to first. Didn't really know when he took off. It was a guess. I don't think he's going to throw, so as soon as he picks up his leg, I'm going. And he happened to guess right.
Garcia now 2 for 4 in stolen bases on the season. And strike to Shuck. And now a foul ball into the seats. Well, the Twins with 2 home runs to tie it up. Now the White Sox with 3 hits. So far, a couple of runs. Malone faced just 3 men in the first inning after giving up a leadoff single. And it's been a struggle ever since. Base hit right field. Rounding second on his way to third, Davidson goes to third on the shuck double. So 2 trips through the batting order. And first time through, Malone gave up 3 hits. Second time through, he's given up 6 hits. 6 of the 9 hits against Malone have come with 2 strikes on the batter.
Yeah, and you can, again, you can see where the ball is, and he's just catching a lot of the middle of the zone this inning.
Eric Rasmussen to the mound. See a very good first time through the order. Second time not good. Third time horrible. Neil Ramirez is warming up in the Twins pen. And really in the third inning and again here in the fourth, the big factor too has been the inability of the Twins to control the running game. It looked like Suzuki had Garcia thrown out. That would have been the second out, would have emptied the bases. But now Anderson with the infield in. He's already got 7 hits in this series. Ball 1. Pair of singles for Anderson in this afternoon's game.
Well, I would not let him beat me hitting a strike. First base open, left-handed hitter on deck. This hitter has not walked yet in over 80 at bats. I just would not let him drive in 2 runs on it by giving him a strike. I'd see if he could get himself out of swinging at bad balls.
Now missing inside, 2-0.
If he finally walks right here, then so be it. He finally gets one. I don't think you're damaged nearly as much as you will be if you throw this kid a strike. Looks like ball's in the strike zone. He has pretty good swings at it.
84 at bats without a walk. And there's the inside corner. And he is very vulnerable to striking out. He has struck out 27 times in those 84 at bats. Now 3-1.
I still wouldn't give in to him.
Eaton on deck. He's 0 for 2. And the fans into it. They've enjoyed Anderson hitting, but they're aware that that is his first big league walk. And now they're loaded up with 1 away for Eaton. All right, well, you laid it out there. We'll see whether your strategy works here.
Anderson giving himself a pat on the back there for getting a walk.
Didn't ask for the baseball or anything, did he?
I didn't see him. Yeah, he was still excited about it.
Pumping his fists. Here is Eaton, and the Twins shortening the infield a little bit here. He's not grounded into a double play this year. I beg your pardon, he's hit into 5. Fouled back a strike.
Well, I'm shocked really that Anderson chose that at bat. The runners on second and third, a couple of RBIs out there, and he didn't look like he had any intention of swinging that whole time up. I'm shocked by his behavior there. I really am. Like he wanted to walk there.
1 strike to Eaton. And Eaton's hit by a pitch, and a run comes in. Malone suggesting that Eaton stuck that arm into the pitch, but the end result, an RBI for Eaton, and it's at least a 3-run inning, and that's going to be the end of the day for Tommy Malone. Wow. So Eaton ends up at first. No, that's not going to be called.
No, he start to swing there, and then he He was trying to get out of the way of that as much as you have to get out of the way when you wear all that armor.
Another disappointing outing for Malone as he can't get through the 4th inning. Up a couple of early runs. The Twins got him back into a tie game, but a very rough 4th inning here. Malone's out. And Neil Ramirez is in.
Ramirez with kind of mixed results for the Twins since he's joined the club. He's had an outing or two when it hasn't been great, and then he's had an outing or two when he's pitched pretty well. He's in a tough spot here with bases loaded. Jose Abreu is the first hitter he's going to face.
White Sox already with 3 runs on the board. Ramirez has inherited 6 runners on the season. 2 have scored. But he's got to face Abreu here, the best Chicago run producer. Swing and a miss. Abreu with an RBI single his last time up. Came after Eaton stole second base. Abreu hit into an inning-ending double play in the first inning, and that's what Ramirez will hope to get done here now with Abreu behind in the count 0-2. The 8th man to bat for Chicago. There's a double play grounder. Escobar to Dozier. Dozier to Plouffe, and Ramirez gets the job done. But the White Sox knock out Tommy Malone and score 3 in the 4th. First series against the Twins. Twins haven't been able to keep them off the bases. EATON has had a good series as well. I mentioned the White Sox have won a couple of series before the Twins came to town. And now the White Sox lead at 5-2. Kurt Suzuki will lead off the fifth. He'll be followed by Kepler and Santana. A 5-2 ball game, and yet Rodon has thrown every pitch from the windup. Two Twins runs came on their 2 hits, solo home runs.
Let's see if the Twins can change that, get him in the stretch here, keep battling back.
And there's another first pitch strike. Fouled away. 0-2. The Twins will finish the regular season here in Chicago the end of September, early October. This is the second of 3 trips. Twins close the season with a week on the road, 3 in Kansas City and 3 in Chicago. To center. Retreating a Shuck. 1 away. And that'll bring up Kepler. Nobody sees sports quite the way Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock do. The brains to know and the guts to say. Catch Colin and Jason on FS1's new daily sports talk show, Speak for Yourself, weekdays at 5 p.m. Central. Kepler struck out his first time up. 4 strikeouts in his last 5 at bats. The exception being his 2-run double in the 9th inning last night. And a belt high strike. One and one. And Rodon gets the glove back around his belt line in time to get Kepler's 1 hopper, 2 down. And we'll bring up Santana.
Jack ball got in on Kepler there a little bit. 1 hopper back at Rodon, who Bert would say is benefit from the pitcher's fielding practice.
And now Danny Santana. Hit the first pitch he saw out to center field, gloved by Shuck. Santana with a couple of plate appearances last night from the right side of the plate. He was walked and was hit by a pitch. Rodon just got rid of a rock or something that got caught in his spikes. 1-0 to Danny Santana. Swing and a miss, 1-1. We'll see how Paul Molitor plays it, but the Twins want to get Santana going from this side of the plate. And the Twins are facing a lot of left-handed starting pitching. So what we're seeing here tonight or today might be something we see again tomorrow night with Martin Perez going for the Rangers, or maybe again on Sunday with Cole Hamels going. That's one of the issues I'm sure you ran into as a switch hitter too, maintaining your stroke from the right side of the plate when you don't see that many left-handers.
It really is hard to do for switch hitters to generally speaking, it's the right side that you just don't see that many left-handers. Although I was just thinking, you'd be hard-pressed to tell Max Kepler that. I've seen young guys, left-hand hitters, come up and not see a left-hander for a while, get their feet under them, hitting against right-handers, and boy, Kepler has had just left-hander after left-hander he's had to battle, and his reputation is such that he gives them a pretty good battle. He's getting a baptism by fire here in his stint in the big leagues.
A fastball strikes out Santana, and Rodon has another 1-2-3 inning, his 4th already this afternoon. Pepsi fans of the game hoping that there are a few more home runs in today's game for the Twins. Down by 3 runs. Just fantastic weather really all through this road trip. And yet Paul Molitor, I think, said it best. It seems like the team has been on the road for more than a week. You played there, so you'd know better than I, but the New York experience can tend to wilt people.
New York takes a lot out of it, and off day in the middle of a road trip, that seems to add more than 24 hours for some reason.
Check swing and a strike, 1-1. Ramirez did a nice job.
Boy, he sure did.
Keeping the Twins in this game, coming in with the bases loaded and 1 out. He got ABREU to bounce into a double play, and we'll see if he can hang a few zeros up on the board here. The Twins with a 5-run 9th last night. They'd like to think they're still very much in this game. 2-1.
Well, if they can put a 0 up here, get the guys off the field and come and throw a number up there in the top of the 6th, they will absolutely be very much in this game.
Well, 3-1. Frazier with a home run to start the scoring. It came leading off the 2nd, then he bounced into a force play to end the 3rd inning. Foul back. Just thinking about Malone, and now you mentioned it, for 2 years in a row he's gone down to AAA and frankly dominated, and he's a veteran pitcher. He's, you know, as we mentioned, he's got a winning record in the big leagues, and so it's a cautionary example for all of us to get all excited when we see somebody do well at AAA, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher. And there's strike 3, and Frazier saying he fouled it into the ground. And Suzuki getting rid of the baseball as quickly as he could. It's a strikeout, 1 away. And now Robin Ventura going to have a word with Chris Conroy. See what happens here. Well, Suzuki caught it on the fly. Ball never hit the dirt. The glove did, but the ball was caught, whether it was foul tipped or not, cleanly by Suzuki.
Yeah, Kurt actually called for the ball from Ramirez, and he was holding it down there. He wanted to show Frazier and the umpire that the ball never hit the dirt. He's got it in his hand. He said, look, it's clean. It's absolutely clean.
So a strikeout, and it'll bring up LAWRIE. But anyway, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher who does well at AAA, there's still a big gap between AAA and up here, and you can be as successful as you want to be at AAA. It doesn't necessarily mean that success is going to translate up here. And boy, look at a veteran pitcher like Tommy Milone, who was sailing along through the month of June up until the middle of the month in Rochester, and he's really struggling again up here.
Well, it doesn't go both ways. You can't be successful up here if you haven't conquered AAA. I mean, that's for sure. But just because you do conquer AAA, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do it up here. It is a fairly big chasm, that jump from the minor leagues, anywhere in the minor leagues, even AAA, to here.
2 strikes to LAWRIE. And 3 strikes, and Ramirez with a really effective outing. He's faced 3 batters and gotten 4 outs. Join us for wine, women, and baseball. Not necessarily in that order. A special ticket package includes a Twins stemless wine glass and a pregame hospitality event at Lowe's Minneapolis Hotel. A limited number of ticket packages remain for the July 27th and August 12th events. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/WWB or call 800-33-TWINS. 2 down. Here is NAVARRO, now hitting as a left-handed batter. One and 0 to NAVARRO. Struck out twice against Malone. Outside 2-0. Now your minor league experience consisted of?
Well, I didn't spend, frankly, an awful lot of time down there. I signed out of USC and went to AA baseball in the Eastern League, and spent for my first year there, and then I was sent to AAA my second year and was there about a month before I got called up.
Big fly to right field. Kepler Buxton, and it's Buxton with the call and the catch. And a good inning for Neil Ramirez. He puts up a 0 in the 5th inning.
Six, 5-2 White Sox. Twins fans, don't forget, at Twins home games, bring your Circle Me signs, and if you get circled, you may find yourself in the Minnesota Lottery Winner's Circle, where you could win $100 worth of scratch-off lottery tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.
Down by 3. Carlos Rodon has had 4 1-2-3 innings as we begin the 6th. See if Byron Buxton bunts here on Rodon. I think both teams are confident that Buxton's going to be in the lineup for the Twins for many years to come. Rodon's going to be pitching for the White Sox for many years to come. Abreu, the first baseman for Chicago, not the most mobile guy in the world. And Buxton right now at least is struggling against lefties, showing no indication of bunting there. It's 1-0.
And you look at where Lawrie's playing at second base. I mean, holy cow, playing a guy with that speed back on the grass.
Driven foul, and it's 1-1. Buxton's worked awfully hard throughout his professional career on the bunting part of his game. Hasn't implemented it very much in games up here.
If he could bunt the ball past Rodon to the second base side, it's a hit.
And he squares and takes inside. Now, I don't know that for as long as he plays big league baseball, there'll be an element of surprise with Buxton bunting. So he hasn't really given away anything by squaring there, and the defense hasn't changed at all.
There doesn't need to be any surprise. He could almost square around totally.
And a ball hit on a line to left center field, and that's going to run to the wall. And Buxton from second base will hold up there. It just looked like there were 5 strides between him touching first base and second base. There must have been more than that. And he has a leadoff double here in the 6th.
Well, he drills this ball. Good swing. Drives it over shortstop's head into the gap. And he does have a beautiful, beautiful running stride. We'll see it here. You don't see a whole lot of guys in this game with strides that long that make them that fast.
Here is Nunez. First pitch that Rodon has thrown from the stretch today. And a bunt, foul, off the bat of Nunez. I guess, you know, talking about the future looking forward and Rodon figuring to be a fixture in the rotation, you'd like to think that Buxton, or maybe Nunez too, putting down a bunt and getting a base hit would be a semi-regular occurrence, with Abreu not the most mobile first baseman in the world, and Rodon a pretty big guy, left-hander who's going to naturally fall away to the third base side. But there'd be plenty of room to bunt between the mound and first base. Driven foul, 2 strikes. Twins fans, it's the final day to vote on the 2016 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. You can head to twinsbaseball.com and choose your hashtag ASG worthy stars. Send them to the MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 12th in San Diego. You can vote until just before midnight tonight. Vote at twinsbaseball.com/vote. 2 strikes now to Nunez. Twins trying to take advantage of Buxton's leadoff double. Maybe put up a crooked number of their own here in the 6th inning. To the right side and under the glove of LAWRIE. Buxton around third, and he'll score. Nunez with an RBI single.
And I was just going to say, one of the things about Nunez bunting in that situation, I would expect him to be better and better at bunting for hits or bunting to move guys over, but he's swinging the bat so well. And what dictates a bunt in a situation like that especially is how good a guy feels against a certain pitcher and the way he's swinging. Anyway, Nunez really hot, and I think 5-2 right there, especially. Paul Molitor wants him to try to drive that run in.
And that's exactly why it was so surprising to see Brian Dozier bunt in the ball game last night.
That's exactly right.
Don Cooper with a slow walk to the mound. That's the only way he knows how to do it. And, you know, again, the guy's been in the windup, or the full windup, through 5 innings. Buxton gets the double, and a little muscle memory required to feel comfortable from the stretch position. And Escobar comes to the plate representing the tying run.
Well, that's a big run. Getting 1 run back here in only the 6th inning, make it a 2-run game. The Twins are every bit a part in this game. See if they can, as you say, throw up a big number.
This one hit to right center field. And Eaton squaring, making the catch, and Escobar retired on 1 pitch. And that'll bring up Robbie Grossman. Grossman lined a home run down the right field line in his last at bat. Got the Twins on the board, and then on the next pitch, Dozier hit a home run to center, and the Twins had the game tied at 2. Dug out by Navarro. We mentioned that Rodon, through pitch count or whatever, tends to hit a wall right around the 6th inning. And the Twins hoping to do more damage here before the White Sox go to their bullpen. Albers is warming up as we speak. In his last start, 5 2/3 innings and 115 pitches for Rodon. There's Albers getting loose.
And I think, if I remember, he'd only given up 2 runs.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 runs and 115 pitches in 5 2/3. That's a problem.
And down low now, 2-0.
See if you'll throw Robbie another fastball here. It's fastball count.
And Grossman takes ball 3. Dozier on deck.
Unlikely to be given the hit sign here, 3-0, but a real good opportunity to really measure the speed of the fastball here for the 3-1 pitch.
And at the knees over the inside corner, 3-1.
So you take a really good look at that one and say, okay, now I'm going to get that fastball again right where I want it. You pick out a spot 3-1 here and say it's going to be right here, or it doesn't count. I'm either going to drive it or I'm going to take it.
And a swing and a foul, 3-2. Nunez, of course, with speed at first. Twins down a couple of runs. And we've seen Grossman strike out frequently. Struck out his first time up against Rodon. We'll see whether the Twins send Nunez here.
I think they will.
And a throw over before the pitch.
Nunez on his best side here, right-handed. Grossman. Yep, there he goes.
There goes the runner, and it's ball 4. Grossman takes a walk. The Twins have the tying run at first.
I'm sorry to laugh. I hope Eduardo Nunez didn't strain a hamstring there a little bit, but he kind of figured that since Grossman walked, he didn't have to stay on the base, and he almost got himself picked off. It's not first base, Eduardo. He takes off. He's running now. He knows he can slow up. Oh, and he did look like he did pull up a little bit, but it's like he was treating it as first base out there at second.
Yeah, he looked like he definitely tweaked something.
Yeah.
And he's motioned to the bench to stay put. Dozier with a bouncer to short, and then he clobbered a home run to center field to tie the game in the 4th. Strike on the outside corner. Chipper Jones has the major league record with 14 straight. Dozier with a home run now has an extra base hit in 11 straight. Pitch is up a little bit, 1-1. Taken low, 2-1. Walks not much of an issue for Rodon as of late. He had it start early this year. In fact, it was against the Twins. He walked 5 men in 6 innings. But usually 1 or 2 walks a game.
It's a good take right there by Bryant. As I mentioned before, I think you can tell a lot about how a hitter's going by the way he takes pitches. It looks like he's seen the ball really well.
Foul back, 2-2.
When you see a guy like Brian did just a second ago, take that breaking ball down and never really even looked like he was offering that. It looked like he saw it early. Generally speaking, that means he's seen it pretty well.
Outside, 3-2. Plouffe on deck. Full count to Dozier. 1 run in, and the Twins threatening for more. Runners go, and the pitch foul back. So Nunez scampering towards third. Dozier over the course of his season, a couple of poor months to start the year and a red hot June. Through it all, he has significantly cut down on his number of strikeouts.
Well, swinging the bat very, very well against left-handers. Good speed out there on the bases. The only negative to send on the guys that Paul would think about is a line drive double play in the infield.
Runners go, and the pitch line to left, and Nunez just barely avoids being hit by the line drive, and now Grossman trying for third, and he is out, and Dozier goes to second. A bobble and left by Garcia, and Grossman thought he could advance, but he is out number 2. Nunez scoring, and it's a 5-4 ball game.
Brian gets a fastball here, or a little cutter it looked like, and just drills it almost off of Nunez to score 1 run. Garcia actually makes a very nice recovery there and a good throw. Grossman out. The problem with that Robbie had there, that he had already stopped, and assuming that Garcia was going to make that play and then tried to restart himself. Didn't work. We're going to get a new pitcher.
Albers will pitch next for Chicago. Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. What's yours? Twins tied the game at 2. Now they're trying to tie the game at 5. Dozier, after an RBI single, the tying run at second with 2 away, and Albers pitching to Plouffe. There's strike 1. Twins chasing Carlos Rodon here in the 6th. Plouffe is 0 for 2. A couple of ground balls to the left side.
Look at Albers' numbers. Kind of indifferent performance so far.
And again on the outside corner, 0-2.
2 good pitches there, though. Those numbers notwithstanding. Side wheeling on the outside corner with some movement.
And outside 1-2. Twins with a walk and 3 hits in the inning. 1 out at the plate and 1 on the bases. Need a hit to the outfield here to get the game tied. 1-2 to Plouffe. 2-2. Saw Albert's numbers. A lot of home runs allowed in 31 innings. 6. And now the inside 3-2.
You see that ball running in hard on Trevor, in off the plate. These are the kind of guys that tend to make guys like me into switch hitters. Guys throwing from the side to a right-hand hitter. Ball breaking into you, a fastball, and away from the breaking ball. It's easier from the left side.
Plouffe fouls 1 away. Still 3-2.
You get over there on the left side and he's throwing from the side like that, and you see the ball so well, and the breaking ball's coming into you, and you say, boy, why didn't I think of the switch hitting stuff earlier?
Another 3-2 and another foul ball. Don with 4 1-2-3 innings out of the 5 completed innings, and then a leadoff double by Buxton set the stage for this comeback. 8th pitch of this at bat to Plouffe. Inside, ball 4, and Dozier will go to third. It didn't hit him, but it nearly did. Plouffe will go to first, and now Dozier, the tying runner, 90 feet away. Trevor had to subconsciously, I suppose, flash back to last night when he got drilled in the ribs in the 9th inning.
Yeah, that didn't miss that same spot by much, did it?
Now Kurt Suzuki. Trying to finish off a great month of June with maybe his most significant at bat this month. It's called a pass ball, not a wild pitch. And Suzuki looking for his first hit today. With a ground ball to third and a fly ball to center. Chop foul, 1 strike.
Here you see the first half of the difficulty against a guy like Albers. That ball running hard in. Right-hander, you have to get as a right-hand hitter, you have to really get the bat head out in front of you to hit that ball that's coming in on you like that. You see, we saw Kurt hit over the top of it. Now if he comes back with a slider, there it is running in again. And then that slider goes the other direction. It's what makes the sidewinder so difficult on same side hitters.
And Plouffe fell behind early, worked out a walk, and now Suzuki's behind in the count, 0-2. Two strikes to the Twins catcher. 1-2. Albers' pitching numbers so-so, but he made a lot of national headlines when he hit in an extra inning game and got a double. One and two. Checked his swing. 2-2. To the right field corner, chased by Eaton, and he makes a running catch in the corner. The Twins get a couple back, leave 2 aboard. It's a 5-4 ball game. Leading a Twins comeback. It's back to a 1-run game now, going to the bottom of the 6th. And our Sanford Health injury report: Clayton Kershaw had an epidural, and he's going to be put on the 15-day disabled list with lower back pain, and a significant injury certainly for the Dodgers, who are basically a 500 team without him, and really need to get him back in the lineup. But we'll see whether the 15 days are enough. Meanwhile, Neil Ramirez has done a wonderful job for the Twins here today, getting the Twins out of a real big mess in the 4th, and then pitching a clean 1-2-3 5th. We'll see how he fares in the 6th, starting with Avisail Garcia. Coates looks like he's going to pinch hit for Davidson, and then J.B. Shuck.
I'll tell you something else that's really interesting about this crazy game of baseball. You look at velocity that different pitchers have. And Ramirez has been about 93, 94 tops.
Into the seat, strike one.
There's something about his delivery or his fastball or something that's sneakier than that. He's gotten the ball in on hitters, throwing the ball by guys at 93, where you see some guys throwing 97 and hitters just look comfortable.
Right.
And it's just really, I can't explain it. Some guys are just their delivery or something just sneakier.
On the ground, a hot grounder right to Dozier, who shifted up the middle, 1-1. Soup.com trivia question. I believe Frank Robinson, who won an MVP in the National League and won the Triple Crown in his first year with the Orioles.
Yep, that's my guess. What a player he was. My goodness.
Milt Pappas was a good pitcher.
Yes, he was.
He wasn't a Hall of Fame pitcher, and Frank Robinson, in one of the worst trades ever made, earning Broglio for Ernie Banks. Lou.
For Lou Brock.
Lou Brock, that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yes. Going over to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Ernie Broglio. One strike to Coates, hitting for Davidson.
I can remember being, I'm sorry, I can remember being, just to finish up on that Frank Robinson trade, I remember being a youngster and asking Gene Mauch about that trade. Gene was managing the Phillies at the time. And I said, what do you think of that trade? Frank Robinson to the Orioles for Milt Pappas.
Foul away.
Gene said, I love it. And I said, why do you love it? He said, because Milt Pappas might beat me, but he'll beat me once every 5 days. Frank Robinson can beat me every single day he goes out there.
Oh, 2 to Coates. Just missing. And down and away. Two and two. Popped up right side. Dozier retreats to the outfield grass. Call. Well, he gives way to Kepler, who calls him off. Kepler with the call and the catch. 2 down. And that'll bring up J.B. Shuck. Coming up Saturday, July 2nd, the Twins taking on the Rangers, and the first 10,000 fans get an Irvin Santana bobblehead presented by Fox Sports North and Go 96.3. TwinsBaseball.com/tickets. Get your tickets today. Hey, one thing I wanted to add about what you were talking about, how the 93 can be more effective than 98 because of, if I can throw out a word I don't think you use, deception. The delivery, deception. I was talking with Tyler Duffy about his last start with the Yankees and this whole notion of staying closed and you know, throwing across his body, as they say. 1-0 to Shuck. And he said when he went back to it at Eric Rasmussen's suggestion, he immediately felt comfortable, and it did a lot of things for him, including, he felt, just keeping himself closed just a little bit longer. And then you have the glove coming by and the ball comes by just a millisecond later in terms of the hitter's vision. There's a ball line to center, a base hit, and Shuck has his second hit. But he thought he had a more deceptive delivery just by staying closed, that the fact that he stepped over his body, you know, kept his upper torso more closed, and that helped his deception.
Generally speaking, you don't want a guy throwing across his body. It's not, kinesiologically, I think it's probably not the best for most guys, but for some guys it is. And the one thing it helps deception, but the other thing it does is just what you said and what Tyler said. It helps them not fly open. And I hear Bert Blyleven talking about it all the time, Jack Morris, when they're talking about pitching and a guy's front shoulder comes open early, then he's got no release point feel. He has no way of repeating the release point that he normally gets with that when that front shoulder flies open. And that's what was happening with Duffy, and it affected his fastball control, but also affected his ability to throw. The curveball flattens out when you open up too soon. And so when Rasmussen suggested he go back to that throwing across his body, then it fixed all that stuff. And for Duffy it works. As I say, you wouldn't necessarily teach someone to try to throw across their body from the mound, but for some guys it works better.
And Duffy throws 93. Jared Weaver's been throwing across his body ever since he came to the big leagues, and now he's trying to get by at 83. Anderson at the plate. He's reached all 3 times again this afternoon. Chop, foul, 1 strike. 2 down here in the 6th. The Twins have gotten back into the game with 2 runs in the top of the inning, and they scored a couple of runs in the 4th inning. White Sox came back with 3.
he had a notion to go.
One strike to Tim Anderson. And there goes the runner. Twins pitch out. Suzuki's throw.
Nice
Got
tag
him.
right there.
Dozier with the
nice
one-hop
play by Brian
pickup
Dozier.
and the tag. And Shuck is saying, let's take another look at that. And Robin Ventura's out of the dugout. We might have a challenge. Twins have to linger on the field of play here until the White Sox decide they do or don't want a challenge. And then if they do, then we have to wait, of course, for the challenge to be viewed.
He might be safe here, but this is a terrific play by Brian. A one-hopper. Slap the tag down quickly.
Didn't look like the tag was put on the elbow until Shuck had touched the base.
And see where he is in front of the base. It's hard. It's just harder to tag guys out from up in front like that rather than straddling in the old style.
So the Twins knew that Shuck was going to be going. The White Sox, prior to this challenge on a call that might be reversed, are 9 for 9 against the Twins. And here I've been wrong many times before on challenges, but I think they're going to overturn that call.
I do too.
And stolen bases have been big plays for the White Sox in this game here today. I don't know, in the replay they just showed on the board here, it's less conclusive than what we've shown you, so we'll see. Light applause you hear as every time they show the replay on the video board here. The White Sox fans are convinced that Shuck is safe. That, I think, definitively would tell you that Shuck got his hand in there before Dozier touched him with the glove, but we'll see.
It did look like Brian touched him earlier in regular speed than what I think he actually did. They're taking a long look at it.
The Twins pitching out. Suzuki's one-hop throw. Got him.
Wow.
So again, I've been wrong many times before. I thought for sure that they called it.
I'm not sure you're wrong. You know, they won't overturn without really conclusive evidence, and maybe that's what they're saying.
Here's what we know. We're going to the 7th. It's 5-4 Chicago. Story of the game, and the White Sox striking early. Todd Frazier with another home run, his 23rd of the year, 1-0. It was 2-0 when the Twins came back with a pair of runs in the fourth with 2 out. Grossman homered, then Dozier homered on the next pitch, and the game was tied at 2. Tommy Milone struggled in the next inning, however, giving up 3 runs and leaving the bases full. And then the Twins came back with a couple of runs of their own in the 6th. Nunez and Dozier with runs batted in. It's a 1-run ball game. Zach Duke comes in to pitch to Max Kepler, Danny Santana, and Byron Buxton. And a breaking ball. Strike 1 to Kepler. 0 for 2 today. Struck out and hit a comebacker to Rodon in his first 2 plate appearances. And the count is 0-2 to Kepler. 1-2. Driven to the right field corner, and Kepler will have an extra base hit. On a 1-2 pitch, Kepler glides into second with a leadoff double.
What a great at bat and a great swing. We're talking about the trouble pitchers have when their front side opens up too soon. Hitters are the same way, and left-handed pitchers have a tendency to make left-handed hitters throw open that shoulder. But watch Max stay right in there until he's ready to swing. Shoulder stays in. Swing comes down through the zone. Great swing.
Now an interesting decision or decisions to be made by Paul Molitor and the Twins. You have Santana and Buxton, both of whom have struggled against left-handed pitching. And the tying run at second, nobody out. And it might not be a question of bunting, but how many bunts?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a bunt situation here.
Santana turns away from Chris Conroy after Conroy called strike 1. And Navarro to the mound, maybe a cross up between the pitcher and the catcher.
Paul Molitor has an actual sign that he will give to Gene Glynn at third base coach, the third base coaching box, to relay to the hitter when it's obviously a bunt, or he also has a sign that says you must get the runner over the third. However you want to do it. You can swing, you can bunt, you can do whatever you want. With Danny struggling right-handed, I think it's a bunt situation.
And now he swings away, and it's 0-2.
No, what they had then was the sign where get him over any way that you can. Danny decided to take a shot at it by swinging, and he's got himself in a hole now, 0-2.
Santana 2 hits in 25 at-bats as a right-handed batter. And one of those a bunt single. Check to swing, 1-2. And again, we didn't see this a couple of years ago when Santana hit .319. He hit well from both sides of the plate. But he's gotten into a funk as a right-handed batter and is hoping to have a productive at-bat here in the 7th inning. One and 2. Checked again. Taking ball down and in. He's got a leadoff double in the 6th, and it led eventually to a couple of runs. Now another leadoff double in the 7th. Foul.
Right-handed Danny Santana has just a little bit of a drag, a lag in his swing. He's a little behind fastballs. He's a little loop in the big end of the bat. And when that happens, then you're late on fastballs and it gets in your head and you try to speed up, and that makes you vulnerable to those breaking balls in the dirt.
Line to the first baseman, and Santana puts it in play, but within range of ABREU, 1 away. And now Buxton. We wondered whether Buxton might not bunt leading off the 6th inning. And he showed bunt on 1 pitch and then whistled a double to left center field.
I think he'll be up there to drive this run in this time. I don't think he'll leave it to the guys behind him. He's up there trying to hit.
on the outside corner. And for Buxton, just his 5th hit as against a left-handed batter. 3 of those for extra bases. And now 0-2. Nate Jones warming up. He is warmed up for the White Sox. But Robin Ventura has done his homework, and he knows that for this right-handed batter, it would be foolish to bring in a right-handed pitcher, at least right now. Nunez, another right-handed batter on deck, and that's when we might see the pitching change.
Yes.
0-2 to Byron Buxton. Just off the corner. Navarro held it for a while, but didn't get the call. Was outside. Swing, but he went. And Navarro has to make a throw on target. And Kepler still at second now with 2 away. And that will bring Robin Ventura out to make the pitching change. Jones will come in to pitch to Nunez. In danger of wasting a leadoff double. Tying run at second, 2 away. Another pitching change for the White Sox. In the 7th inning, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Positive Coaching Alliance and its mission to develop better athletes, better people by working to provide all youth and high school athletes a positive character building sports experience. Visit foxsportsupports.com to learn more. Eduardo Nunez drove in a run with a single in his last at bat. He'll try to do at least that here against Nate Jones,
who's been awfully good. First batter faced this year by Nate Jones. First batters hitting .059.
He might only be asked to face his first batter here. Nunez swings a pitch down and away. Kepler started this inning with a double. Santana lined out. Buxton struck out. Another pitch outside. Nunez goes after it. 0-2.
Nunez really gearing up for fastball there on those first 2 pitches, way out in front of the slider.
One and 2. huge lead at second. White Sox they don't have an infielder within 45 feet of them. 2-2. Jones got the save in the ball game last night. 2-2. And now 3-2. Escobar on deck. Every pitch has been away to Nunez.
Yeah, I would caution Eduardo right here not to assume this 3-2 pitch is going to be a fastball. It could be anything. He's got to be ready for anything, but probably away.
And a ball lined to short left field and down for a hit. Kepler will come in. He will score. Nunez is out at first, but the run scores. Nunez dropping a single in front of Garcia. Kepler scores. We are tied, and the throw cut off, and Nunez trapped too far off of first base.
Pizza, it's good, but I like folding it. I like New York style.
Chicago.
I like the New York style pizza.
Probably because I grew up with a place called Chicago's Pizza in my hometown.
The only problem with the Chicago deep dish is, I mean, you could have one piece and it's in your stuff.
New York pizza, the slices end up being huge, so I feel like, you know, it's a little bit overblown there, but I guess I'd have to say Chicago style.
Chances are a lot of it eaten here with the off day on Monday. Twins have tied the game now, and Tim Anderson at the plate with a fresh count. Ryan Presley on the first pitch, and Anderson gets another base hit. 8 hits in the series, and he drew a walk, his first major league walk in his last plate appearance, and he's aboard leading off the 7th. Presley now will have to pitch around Anderson's speed at first base with nobody out. Good opponent batting average for Presley. Nunez in on the grass at third, looking for a possible bunt. Suzuki ended up throwing out Shutt to end the 6th inning. It was the first throw out by a Twins catcher in 10 White Sox stolen bases in the season series. Down and away, ball 1. Great job by Neil Ramirez.
Oh, man.
He got 8 outs from 7 batters and inherited With the Twins down 3, a bases loaded, 1-out situation. Got the double play grounder, then pitched 2 more after that.
It wasn't just any hitter, it was Jose Abreu.
Yes. One and 0 to Eaton. There's a bunt attempt. Nunez, bare hands, fires, got him. A sacrifice for Eaton, and now Anderson is at second base. So the Twins had the leadoff double. Didn't get the bunt down. Eventually got the game tied on a base hit, but now the White Sox hoping to play some more small ball here to retake the lead. 1 down, and Abreu at the plate. Abreu's singled in a run and bounced into 2 double plays. Fouled away, 1 strike. We've seen Presley hit 97 miles per hour. And 1 or 2 times I think we've seen 98. His fastball has picked up some velocity. And of course, nice mixture of breaking pitches, a slider, and a curveball.
Yeah, it's got a real swing and miss curveball. It's just amazing to me how critical location is in big league hitters.
Rounder left side, a foul ball, 2 strikes. So that one clocked in the stadium here at 98 miles per hour. And we've talked at length about Presley's swing and miss breaking ball. Abreu may see it here.
And the best way to set that up is to come hard in like he just did. Abreu knows, in his mind, he knows that he got beat on that fastball. He did not have a good swing at it. Hitters don't like that. Could be in a little bit of a hurry. We'll see.
99, does that say? A little glare on our monitors up here, but it's clocked at 99 miles per hour.
Notice there's a little discrepancy in guns around the league. But for sure, Ryan Presley has picked up 2 or 3 miles an hour on his fastball from last year.
You know what, though? At Yankee Stadium, Chapman did look like he was throwing 103.
Well,
that might be a slow gun at Yankee Stadium.
You know, it really doesn't matter. He was throwing 8 miles an hour faster than most everybody else, whatever the number is.
1 and 2 to Abreu. Coming right at him with more heat. That clocked at 99.
Abreu doing a good job there with 2 strikes. I mentioned the 97, 98 mile an hour in on him, and then another good fastball on the outside corner. Abreu able to fight that off, just off the plate. You see there.
1 and 2. There's a breaking ball. And Abreu hanging tough. 4 fouls in this at bat, and the count's still 1 and 2.
Now he's just a real good hitter. You're not going to get him out with mediocre stuff, especially with runners in scoring position. He elevates his game and really battles. And it's all about location.
And an awful swing and a wicked breaking ball.
That was a nasty curveball right there. Late, sharp breaking curveball that just absolutely locked him up. So he's seen a steady diet of fastballs, and right there you could see he was just totally confused by the trajectory of that pitch.
That's, I think, what you call making a really good hitter look really bad. 2 down, and now another powerful hitter in Todd Frazier.
Both of those things were true. He is a really good hitter, and that looked really bad. Oh, that's got to be a strike.
Call the ball.
That's a good pitch right there. I mean, you just can't throw much better curveball than that right there to a home run hitter in a big situation. Yeah.
Perfect spot.
Yeah, that was perfect.
But ball one. Punch to right. Playable for Kepler. A leadoff single is left aboard on to the 8th inning. Tied at 5. Reflecting back on what happened last night, the Yankees scored 6 runs in the 9th, hitting a couple of home runs that I don't think would have made the warning track at Target Field. The Rangers are going to be in an owly mood at Target Field tomorrow night, opening up that series. 1-0 to Escobar, and now inside 2-0. It'll be Escobar, Grossman, and Dozier in the 8th. The Twins had some success against the White Sox bullpen late last night. Jones ended up putting out the fire, retiring Escobar for the final out of the ball game. The inning started with the White Sox in front 9-1. There's a strike, 2-1. Escobar looking for his first hit, a ground ball, a strikeout, and a fly ball. Twins have had leadoff doubles that have led to runs in each of the last 2 innings. Popped up, back and out of play. Presley did his job in the 7th. Robertson getting loose. He's the closer for the White Sox. Fernando Abad getting loose in the Twins pen. Two and 2 to Escobar. Fouling out of play again. Escobar, switch hitter, of course. Hitting back from the left side of the plate after 3 at-bats from the right side of the plate. And he strikes out. 1 away here in the 8th inning. That'll bring up Robbie Grossman. Today's T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. Shin-Soo Choo. Home run for the Rangers, but the only run that they got. Trace Thompson with a 2-run home run, his 12th of the year. Madison Bumgarner is going to hit tonight. Bruce Bochy is going to forego the designated hitter and let Bumgarner hit. What do you think about him entering the home run hitting competition in the All-Star break. There's some thought that he is interested in doing that. 1-0 to Grossman. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Well, he can hit. For a pitcher, he can hit, and maybe he can hit for any position player. I don't know. He's a very, very good hitting pitcher. Bochy's lineup set up for no DH, so he's not going to use one.
2-1 now to Grossman. Grossman with a home run to start the scoring for the Twins with 2 out in the 4th as a right-handed batter. He dropped one over the wall near the right field foul pole, or as you call it, more accurately, the fair pole. Foul back. On the outside corner. 2 down. And we'll bring up Dozier. Twins gave up the game-tying hit. But now starting the 8th inning, back-to-back strikeouts.
We got Grossman on a backdoor slider, and it just barely got in the back door.
Dozier with a home run to center, an RBI single, and a good day at the plate for Bryant. Ball 1. Dozier's average up to 265. One and one. Dozier's 13 home runs now leading the Twins. And the Twins with 2 home runs today now have 88. And today they're playing their 78th game of the year. 2-1. Three and one. Blue on deck.
Well, Bryant's gotten himself into a fastball count again. Very good fastball hitter. He's hot right now. The question is can he get Jones to throw him a fastball right in the spot that he wants? Nope.
And he took it on the outside corner, 3-2.
Don't want to swing at that one 3-1. Looked like it was outside anyway, but even if it was a strike, it was just barely so. And that's a 2-strike swing you have to take, not a 3-1.
To hit hard to center field. Shuck going back now over, and he makes a tumbling catch. Didn't take a very direct route to it, but he got there. A ball that was hit on a line, and it might have been knuckling on its way out there. At any rate, it's a 1-2-3, top of the 8th. to say other than, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Fernando Abad pitching for the first time in more than a week. His 31st appearance. And the first man in the box, maybe Chicago's hottest hitter, Brett Lawrie. Lawrie, then Navarro and Garcia. And Abad misses, ball one. So far, Twins bullpen's done a really nice job. 11 outs from 11 batters. And now 2-0. And a strike on a breaking ball.
Fernando Abad can twirl up some different speeds, can he? On different pitches.
In peculiar counts.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime. 72-mile-an-hour, big, slow breaking, 2-0 curveball.
Chop to the right side. Nice pickup by Plouffe. And he will get to the bag before Lawrie or Abad. Plouffe with a hard two-hopper headed down the line. He picked it off. One away.
It's a nice play by Trevor to get over there. There's something going on there. He's got some leg issues, or his knees still bothering him, or something. I noticed earlier running down the line, he had to go about 3/4 speed, and he's gotten through some injury in his lower body, as they would say in hockey.
Navarro 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, and a fly ball to center. Abad misses with his first pitch again, 1-0. Fell behind Lawrie 2-0 and came back to get him. Now he's behind Navarro. And again,
the same 2-0.
The 72-mile-per-hour breaking ball for a called strike.
Pretty hard for a hitter to sit on that pitch 2-0. I just got to tell you.
It's a get me over slow curve.
It's a get me over if it ever gets there.
2-1. High fly center field. And Buxton has it measured. Paul Molitor this morning talking about Kevin Jepson and asked about his success last year. He said, you know, Kevin had command of 3 pitches, so a hitter would get in the box and go, okay, what am I going to get here, regardless of the count, right? I mean, it might be 2-0, and Kevin might have dropped a breaking ball over to get a called strike. And you kind of get that same vibe with Abad. He's fallen behind the first 2 batters 2-0, and the unlikeliest of pitches typically are what's gotten him back into the count. 2 down, and now Garcia.
One of the main things that made Kevin Jepson so successful last year is he just didn't get to 2-0 too often.
Right.
You know, he was throwing all 3 of those pitches early in counts. First ball pitch, 0-1. You just never knew what 1-1. You never knew what you were going to get. And they were all 3 quality pitches. He just hadn't found that curveball and changeup yet this year.
And the frustrating thing, of course, is he's been working and working and working, and it's June 30th, and he's basically been a 1-pitch pitcher. 1-0 to Garcia. Floats outside, and Abad maybe showing a little rust, having not pitched in about 10 days.
I don't see how you can help it. You haven't pitched in 10 days. You don't have the exact feel that you had when you pitched 2 days ago.
2-0 to the 3rd batter this inning. And a strike at the knees with a fastball.
Garcia must have been sitting on that 72-mile-an-hour curveball.
Abad last pitched at home against the Phillies on the 22nd, and now 2-2. His expertise this year has been getting out left-handed batters. And he's asked here in this 8th inning to get out 3 righties. So far, so good. Full count. And Coates on deck. Three and 2 to AVISAIL Garcia. And walked him. Abad's thrown 14 pitches, only 6 strikes, and now Coates will hit with a man aboard. We got word that Matt Davidson in his Cubs debut, White Sox debut, left the game with a sore right foot. Coates came in and hit in the 6th inning, hit a fly ball to right. This is his 2nd plate appearance. Bench players left for the White Sox: Avila, Melky Cabrera, who can't swing a bat right now with a bad wrist, and Tyler Saladino. Side, he's fallen behind all 4 batters. Garcia stole a base in the 4th inning against Tommy Malone, who pitched just 3 1/3 innings in his start here today. Slow breaking ball, and it's 2-0. Abad trying to weave around some control issues here in this 8th inning. 16 pitches, just 6 strikes, and 2-0 to all 4 batters. 3-0. Shuck on deck.
I know that Fernando Abad generally falls off pretty hard to the 3rd base side. It seems even more exaggerated here. And again, he hasn't pitched in 10 days. We talked about pitcher's front shoulder opening up. It looks like when you see a pitcher up and away like that, left-handed to right-handed hitters or right-handers to left-handed hitters, it's almost always because his body's getting way out ahead of his arm. He's either opening up his shoulder or his legs aren't working or whatever it is, but it just looks to me like Abad's timing with his upper body is really off.
And now he'll face a left-handed batter in J.B. Shuck, who has hits in his last 2 at-bats. Abad again done very well, just 5 hits and 35 at-bats against lefties. J.B. Shuck doesn't get a chance to hit against lefties very often. In the lineup today against Malone, and he went 1 for 2. He's had just 4 at-bats against lefties, 1 for 4. And first pitch strike for Abad, coming in at 76 miles per hour. Fastball missing. 1-1. To left center field, down for a hit. And Garcia's coming home. Here's the throw to the plate, not in time. And now the runners will move up on the deflection. J.B. Shuck with 2 at-bats all year long against lefties, getting a start against a lefty, and he gets a big 2-out hit to put the White Sox back in front.
Well, again, the White Sox not hitting the ball particularly hard on some of these balls they've driven in, but Abad left the ball up a little bit higher than he wanted to, and Chuck able to dunk it into left field to score Garcia. And I have to say, it's even more than that hit. You just can't walk people in ball games, and especially not in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Bottom of the batting order too. And there's a breaking ball over, strike one. An error charge to Santana on the throw, allowing Coates to go to third and Shuck to go to second, and one run is surmountable. But Abad's got to try to leave 2 runners in scoring position and try to get Anderson out for the first time today. He has 3 singles and a walk. 24th pitch for Abad. A 2-out walk leading to at least 1 run here in the 8th. Four pitches, 9 strikes for Fernando Abad. Popped up. Plouffe, Suzuki. And Anderson has one more swing. Suzuki may have hurt himself skidding on the warning track.
Ball hit in a tough spot between the 2 of them. Kurt, you see, overruns the ball a little bit, and I think
left leg kind of collapsed on him.
His ankle kind of collapsed in that soft warning track dirt after he overran it. Trevor is not running well, and he had a hard time getting there.
Last thing the Twins needed to do was give this guy one more swing. 3-2. Heaton on deck. To Tim Anderson. Got him. Bent the breaking ball over, and Anderson strikes out. But after the second out, a pair of walks and an RBI single, the White Sox take a lead to the 9th. Five going to the 9th inning, and now what's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Next 2 weekends, the Twins will be playing the best team in the American League, at least according to the 1-loss record. Texas Rangers have lost a couple in walk-off fashion in the last 24 hours in New York. And the Rangers 51-29, comfortable lead in their division. And it'll be Santana, Duffy, and Gibson pitching for the Twins. Perez, Gonzalez, Hamels for the Rangers. Twins have a little business to conduct yet here this afternoon. Trevor Plouffe will lead things off against David Robertson.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what else is what's next is some pretty good stuff for this guy right here.
Plouffe is 0 for 7 with 6 strikeouts in his matchups against David Robertson. Swing and a foul. Now the Twins have bench players Mauer, Park, and Centeno available to them. The scheduled batters are Plouffe, Suzuki, and Kepler. And behind them, Santana and Buxton. Foul back, and it's 0-2.
Robertson throws pretty hard, 94-ish miles an hour, sometimes 95. He's got a cut fastball that's very, very tough to hit, and a big, sharp overhand curveball. There's the cutter. 92-mile-an-hour cutter he learned from Mariano Rivera, and that is one of the toughest pitches there is to hit in the big leagues right here. 92, moving away, nasty.
One down in the ninth, and now Kurt Suzuki. He's had some success against Robertson. 3 hits, 8 at bats, and the 3 hits have all been doubles. Also drawn a walk. Check swing foul, 1 strike. In terms of bench players, of course, Mauer has the most exposure to Robertson, and he's just 2 for 10 with 4 strikeouts against Robertson. Up the middle, and Suzuki gets another hit against the Chicago closer. We'll see if the Twins can do something with the 1-out single. Kepler will hit next. And starting Danny Santana, there aren't many base running options. Well, they have options, they're just not good ones. You got Park, Centeno, and Mauer on the bench, and none of them are appreciably faster than Suzuki. And Suzuki, who looked like his left leg collapsed on that foul pop, left in there. Here's Kepler. More late inning baptism under fire for Max Kepler, who delivered a 9th inning 2-run double last night.
And a big double off a left-hander today to get a and would eventually score a big run.
Half swing, but a strike, and it's 0-2. Kepler figures to play such a prominent role in the Twins' future. This is schooling here. This is good opportunity for Kepler to face a really good closer in the 9th inning. Breaking ball down and in, got him on 3 pitches, 2 down.
You know, if you haven't seen a guy like David Robertson before, and you haven't seen the break on that curveball, it's just really, really hard to have any kind of success. You watch it, the late break, the sharpness of this, if you've never seen it before, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible.
8 pitches, all strikes for Robertson, and here's Danny Santana. 0 for 3 today, hitting from his preferred side, the left side, for the first time. Down and in, ball 1. Wide of the bag. And Suzuki in last night's game. was at first base when Nunez hit a ball off the top of the fence in right field, and then Nunez's eagerness to get as many bases as he could led to Suzuki being thrown out handily at the plate. 1-1 to Danny Santana. And a nice job by Navarro blocking a pitch in the dirt, keeping Suzuki at first. Over 26,000 the paid today. Santana puts an off-speed pitch in play foul, or puts it, gets a piece of it, pulling it foul. Still 1-2. With just one prior meeting against Robertson, and Robertson got him out. And the White Sox take 2 out of 3 from the Twins. They've now beaten them 8 out of 9 times this year, getting a big base hit late in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, when you throw 95 miles an hour and you've got a 92-mile-an-hour cutter, as a hitter, you know he's got that, and then he drops that one on you. There's a reason why he is such a save master, this David Robertson dude.
Well, the Twins, Tom Hanneman ended up winning 1 game in New York, 1 game here in Chicago, and now we'll head home and hope for a better homestand.